Dear friends, welcome to the third video of first week of reporting and editing for print. In the previous class, we have learnt about basic rules for covering news, what are the opportunities we have to collect the information, how the news will be collected from the different sources and its reliability. In today's class, we will understand about types of reporting, how we convert the collected information into a news story and the difficulties in news covering. Let me recall a couplet from the collections of Thiruvalluvar. கேடில் விழுச்செல்வம் கல்வி ஒருவர்க்கு மாடல்ல மற்றையவை. The meaning of the Thirukkural is, learning is the true imperishable riches, all other things are not riches. Yes, each and every process is giving lessons in our life. Reporting is also an art of learning. There are many types of reporting. They are crime reporting, fires, homicides, accidents, arrests, accusations, confessions, court reporting, health reporting, civic reporting, political reporting, culture reporting, civil administration reporting and education reporting. Let me explain about the types of reporting briefly in today's class. In coming week modules, we will learn in detail about types of reporting. First, we can see about crime reporting. Crime is a part of life and it is newspapers' duty to inform the readers of what crimes are going on in their city, state or country. There are several types of crime news. They are murders, fires, accidents, robberies, burglaries, fraud, blackmail, kidnapping, rape, etc. The next type is fires. The reporter must get his facts correct about the essential elements of a fire story, like the number of persons killed or injured, the extent of damage to property, the loss of valuables, etc. Homicides. In cases of a major murder, the reporter should rush to the scene as soon as possible after receiving a tip and gather all the relevant facts. He must get his facts correctly by talking to the investigation police officer, eyewitness if any, relatives of the dead and if possible with the neighbors. Accidents. Most accidents are reported on the basis of police bulletins or information supplied by police spokesman. However, wherever possible, the crime reporter must rush to the scene of a major accident to give authenticity to his story. Arrest. It is a serious matter to report that a person has been placed under arrest. The news in any case must be handled with care. The next type of reporting is accusations. Persons under suspicion are not necessarily going to be charged with a crime and it is generally not privileged matter to indicate that suspicion is attached to any individual by name. The next one is confessions. The use of the word confession to describe statements made by a person to the police or the prosecuting authorities is dangerous when it is not a matter of public record. An important qualification of a local or civic reporter is knowledge of law, so that he does not commit any errors leading to libel. Political reporting. Political reporters in a democracy have one central mission: to provide citizens with the information they need to make an informed choice between the candidates for elective office. Culture reporting. The term the culture beat refers to the way a newspaper will assign reporters to cover various sites where news organized city hall, the police reports, sports, entertainment, local, etc. Culture reporting is character ostensible disregard for conventional journalistic writings, forms and customs. Civil administration reporting. The government establishes the civil administration and the area concerned or the local, municipal, social and national levels of the society. Civil administration reporting will thus carry news stories relating to all these sections of a country. Education reporting. The education reporter focus on the education systems as this can be used to promote policies or ideas as well as knowledge, and this can lead to abuse of the system. The education reporter has to give the information about scholarships of various educational programs started by national and international universities. These are the types of reporting. As a reporter, the work is not ended by covering the news and collecting the information. These are the types of reporting. As a reporter, the work is not ended by covering the news and collecting the information. Primary tasks in a news media firm are news gathering and processing. A good reporter should be able to recognize the values that make an event reportable. News must be new, novel, interesting and informative. News must be about the unusual rather than the everyday. News writing is a creative activity performed with utmost care, objectivity and fairness. Over the years, reporters have developed a unique format for news story writing. The first thing which a news is, the news must be factual. The first thing which a news writer must keep in his mind while writing a news is that the news must be factual, objective and the language employed must not be flowery. A structure will help to set the things in a formatted way. This is applicable for writing a news story also. Inverted pyramid style, the carafe style, chronological structure, hourglass style, diamond style and personalized approach are the basic formats followed by the news writers. Inverted pyramid style of the news writing is to put most important information at the top followed by other information in descending order of importance. The top part of an inverted pyramid is wide. So, the most important summarized facts will be placed at the top. Quotes and supporting details will get medieval importance and the general background will be given briefly at the bottom of the pyramid. Information arranging in inverted pyramid style of this news writing will be like this. So, you have seen this diagram now. The main difference between news writing and other forms of prose such as essay, short story, novel, article or feature etc. is that the writers of these forms usually begin with minor details first and they start with comparatively significant details and then develop the flow of the writing to the most significant information by the end of the writing, whereas the news writer reverses this style, that is all. This shape is useful when reporting important or breaking news when timeliness is of the essence. If you are the first to report a significant development, you will want to tell the audience what has happened right at the top of your story. A report on a bus accident, for example, likely would begin with the death toll and the location of the incident. In the inverted pyramid structure, information following the lead expands or develops the point that is made in the lead. In the case of the accident report, the writer might describe the scene of the event and then include a quote from a survivor. In the case of the accident report, the writer might describe the scene of the event and then include a quote from the survivor or an emergency worker. Supporting paragraphs would elaborate on the topic, filling in details and providing background on the storm. In a longer story, a reporter might include secondary information that is related to the primary theme but not directly. The inverted pyramid structure helps to know how bits of information are organized according to their importance. The inverted pyramid is a structure of an inverted triangle. It is the structuring of news according to importance of interest. The starting or the lead is broader than the conclusion. The most important part of the story is put in the starting lead, and as the news goes downward, the least important or interesting information is put. The technique is particularly important for web writing, where audiences have low attention spans and readers more often scan rather than read entire articles. Online writers use this technique for two important reasons. Firstly, so readers quickly decide whether or not to read the article, and if they do decide to pass on it, they get all the key details. And secondly, having the best information and keywords close to the start of the page is good for search engine optimization and for the reader. The next style is the carafe style. This format is a spin-off of the inverted pyramid. Here the inverted pyramid style is followed by a lengthy narrative. In other words, the traditional explains the significance and the nut of the issue. The development is a classic storytelling from the beginning to the end. The carafe is best applied to extraordinary events where much detailing is required. For instance, in reporting court cases, otherwise it is sparingly used. The next structure is chronological structure. In this type of writing, the information is given in chronological order instead of information given in descending order or importance as in inverted pyramid. This approach to news writing is used mostly in magazines. News stories are told in the order in which they happen, that is, what happened first, what happened second, like etc. This style is used to hold the reader's interest and stimulate some imagination to see, feel and understand the news. It is also called narrative approach. In the structure of news, the news is structured on the basis of time. The happenings or details of the event are kept in order of time from starting to the finish. In the first paragraph, we see the earliest activity, whereas when we come to the last paragraph, we can see the latest activity. This is an especially useful way of telling stories about sequences of events rather than single event. The next style is hourglass style. It was named by Roy Peter Clark in 1983. It has three parts. They are the top, the turn and the narrative. Top delivers the news, the turn acts as a transition, the narrative tells the story. It can be used in all kinds of story, but it's best suited for dramatic stories that can be told in chronological fashion. The hourglass style is a useful and reader-friendly way of structuring a report. Hourglass structure is a modified form of the inverted pyramid style. Both the styles begin with most important information about the event, but in hourglass style, after a few paragraphs, narration of the event in a chronological order begins. It is generally used for features and magazines articles. This structure is somewhat a mixture of the first two structures of writing. In this structure, the most important part of the news story is put as the lead, like in the inverted pyramid. Then the story is written in a chronological way according to the time. It is a hybrid structure of news writing. It takes shape an hourglass which is broader at the beginning and smaller in the middle and again broader at the end. The next style is diamond style. It is an alternative to the inverted pyramid style popularly found in online journalism of the 21st century. This style was named by Paul Bradshaw. A news story is divided into 7 parts, namely alert, draft, article, analysis, context, interactivity and customization. I am repeating the 7 parts again. The main 7 parts of the diamond style is alert, draft, article, analysis, context, interactivity and customization. The diamond form is frequently used in television news and newspaper reports. For an example, a reporter might begin a story about a new AIDS treatment by introducing a patient who needs the treatment. Then describe the experimental drug and how it works and conclude by noting that doctors give the patient we met earlier only a limited time to live if the new treatment is not effective. Whatever from your choose, the middle of the story should keep the audience engaged and interested. Good writing, a magazine editor once said, makes the reader want to find out what happens next. Reporters using this structure often use a device known as a nut paragraph or nut graph to explain why the story matters, the word nut signifying the heart center of the story. Jack Hart, managing editor of Portland's Oregonian newspaper, says nut graphs can answer any questions raised in the leads, explain why stories are significant and place stories in meaningful context. The nut graph needs to be early enough in the story to make clear to the reader why he or she should bother to keep reading. Every news story has to have a focus, which could be a person or an event. The story emerges sharper when the focus is clear and blurred when the focus is unclear. A news story is built on a central idea, that is the theme, sometimes on 2 or 3 central ideas. So, it is called as single element story or 2 element story or 3 element story depending on the number of themes it has. The next style is the goose egg style. Goose egg starts with the premise and returns to it at the end. It is a classic form of storytelling. Experts start anywhere and end up with an interesting presentation. Best stories make a circle. The scene opens, events unified, then the beginning is explained in terms of the moral at the end. One would have noticed this technique being used as the movies to begin the story with an air of suspense, then unfold the related events and finally return to the starting point. Richard Ben Creamer of Philadelphia Inquirer, a journal well known for stylist writing practices, goose egg. The final one is personalized approach. Personalized style is rarely used in the newspaper stories. This is the first person approach and the reporter gives a personal account of the incident which took place on the spot where he or she has present personally. The reporter on the television and radio will mostly use this approach to news reporting and not the newspaper's news reports. These are the styles the reporters normally using for present the news as a news story. News coverage is not at all an easy job. There are also some difficulties we face while collecting the news. We could not get the data immediately from a person or government official. We have to wait for some time for collecting the data. Even they are having the data with them, they will not tell to immediately. We have to see the timing, mood, mindset of the data provider and we have to approach them in the proper way. In the previous class, we have seen that the nowadays internet is also providing more information for the news. At the same time, we have to verify the data with other websites also. Really, being a news reporter is a challenging job. If we are doing any job with interest, then it will give the job satisfaction and immense pleasure to us. Okay friends, this is the time to say goodbye to you. In today's class, we have seen about types of reporting, how we can convert the collected information into a news story and the difficulties in news covering. In the next class, we will learn about role, functions and qualities of a reporter. Thank you.